Philadelphia Eagle. Today is not one of those calm days where the fan turns on the radio, hears about practice, preparation, and just goes on with life. Today feels different. There's something in the air, something that started as a distant whisper, almost unnoticeable, but slowly got louder, stronger, until now it's impossible to ignore. Because when the name Philadelphia Eagles starts circulating alongside certain dangerous words, longtime fans already know that never happens by accident. And what makes this even stranger is that, on the surface, everything looks fine. The roster looks strong, the offense looks set, the locker room appears stable. But anyone who has followed the NFL for decades knows this very well. Big changes never announce themselves with sirens. They creep in quietly. They live in back rooms, in front office conversation, in cap space calculation, in phone calls that nobody ever confirms publicly. And that's exactly where this story starts to feel uncomfortable for the Eagles fan. Because when you hear the same rumor more than once, from different places, with details that are just a little too consistent to be coincident, something clicks. It's no longer about what if. It becomes, why is this being discussed right now? And more importantly, who inside the Eagles organization would even be willing to open that door? Stick with me, because this will make even more sense in a moment. Over the past few days, a possibility that once felt unthinkable has started to gain real traction behind the scenes around the league. A possibility involving one of the most important names on the Eagles' offense, a player who is not just talent, but identity, a player who completely changed how this offense operates. And when a name like that starts showing up in trade conversation, even unofficial one, the impact goes far beyond football. The rumor centers around A.J. Brown. Yes, that name, one of the pillars of the offense, one of the most respected players in the locker room, and someone many fans believe should be untouchable. But in the NFL, especially in its cold, calculated side, the word untouchable rarely means what fans want it to mean. According to league chatter, the Buffalo Bills have been closely monitoring A.J. Brown's situation. And more than that, there is real interest in finding out whether the Eagles would even listen to offers. And this part matters, especially if you're listening while driving, cooking, or working around the house. This is not a confirmed trade. Nothing is official, but it is something being discussed where it truly matters. Among executives, cap specialists, and decision-makers across the NFL. And when a rumor reaches that level, it stops being just internet noise. So the obvious question hits every Eagles fan immediately. Why would the Eagles even consider something like this? Why mess with A.J. Brown of all players? This is where context and long-term thinking matter, because decisions like this are rarely emotional. They are strategic, calculated, and often deeply unpopular. A.J. Brown brings an immediate impact on the field, but he also represents a major contract, significant cap commitment, and long-term financial planning. The Eagles have always been known as an organization that thinks several moves ahead. Sometimes that leads to brilliant decisions, other times to moves that only make sense years later. And I'll explain why that matters so much right now. On the Buffalo side, the emotional picture is almost the opposite. A team that keeps knocking on the Super Bowl door year after year, but feels like something is missing when it matters most. Josh Allen is an elite quarterback, but every quarterback needs dependable weapons when pressure peaks. And that's exactly where A.J. Brown fits perfectly into Buffalo's offensive vision. People around the league believe the Bills would be willing to offer high draft picks and possibly young talent to make the Eagles even consider the idea. And that's important. This would not be a throwaway offer. It would be a package that looks very tempting on paper, especially to a front office that values flexibility and draft capital. But football is not played on paper. For Eagles fans, even the idea of A.J. Brown wearing another uniform feels like a punch to the gut, because he's not just a receiver. He's physicality. He's intimidation. He's the kind of player that forces defenses to change how they line up. Removing A.J. Brown from the offense changes everything. It changes reads, spacing, and even quarterback confidence. And this is where Jalen Hurts enters the conversation, even if his name is not directly attached to the rumor. The connection between Hurts and Brown goes beyond roots and timing. There is trust there, chemistry, a shared understanding. Breaking that duo is not just a football decision. It sends shockwaves through the entire locker room. At the same time, supporters of the move argue that the Eagles have proven they can adapt, that the roster has depth, that the coaching staff can adjust the scheme, and that the draft has always been a strength of this franchise. All of that is true, but none of it eliminates the risk. And risk is the key word here, because if the Eagles make this move and the offense takes a step back, the bill comes due fast. Fans react, media pressure explodes, and what was once a smart strategy becomes a front office mistake. On the flip side, if the Eagles shut down all talks and the cap situation tighten future seasons, this conversation comes roaring back even louder. This is the classic modern NFL dilemma: keep stars or maximize assets. Go all in on the present or protect the future. And there is no easy answer. What makes this rumor so fascinating is how it quietly exposes a divide within the fan base. On one side, the emotional fan who sees A.J. Brown as leadership and identity. On the other, the pragmatic fan who understands the business, the salary cap, and roster cycle. Both love the Eagles. They just see the team through different lenses. And that's why this topic has sparked so much conversation, so much tension, and so much debate. Because it's not just about a trade, it's about who the Eagles want to be moving forward. Now we get to the most delicate part of all, because there's one question almost nobody is asking out loud, but it hangs over this entire situation, a question that completely changes how this rumor is viewed. Are the Eagles truly willing to move on from A.J. Brown? Or does this rumor exist to test the market, measure reaction, and gain leverage for future negotiation? Because in the NFL, information is a weapon. Controlled leaks exist, strategic rumors exist, and smart organizations know how to use them. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear: this is not an empty rumor. It's not off-season chatter with no foundation. It's speculation built on logic, real interest, and real possibilities, even if nothing ever becomes official. And now, I want to ask you something, a question that will divide opinions and spark strong reaction. If the Eagles received an extremely strong offer, loaded with high draft picks and young talent, would you trade A.J. Brown to secure the future of the franchise? Or do you believe touching that pillar of the offense would be an unforgivable mistake, no matter the return? Drop your answer in the comments. Hit like and subscribe, because that helps this channel reach more Eagles fans, strengthens this community that lives and breathes Philadelphia, and make sure we keep bringing honest, deep, no-nonsense discussions about our team